digest. From lane to the new shining ground, echo chants where the legends are found. Heroes carved in the heart of time, we march on through grit and grime. Oh Tottenham, Tottenham till I die. Raise the banner, let it fly. Through the rain, through the fire, this is my club, my only desire. Oh Tottenham, Tottenham till I die. Raise the banner, let it fly. Through the rain, through the fire, this is my club, my only desire. Echoes of King and Greaves in the air. Every goal, the sound declares. Heartbeats pound like a drummer's song, marching forward, fierce and strong. We're the ones who rise in the clash. Numbers running in a white shirt dash. History burns in the roaring crowd. Every game we scream it loud. I'm Tottenham, Tottenham till I die. Raise the banner, let it fly. Through the rain, through the fire, this is my club, my only desire. We're the ones who rise in the clash. Numbers running in a white shirt dash. History burns in the roaring crowd. Every game we scream it loud. I'm Tottenham, Tottenham till I die. Raise the banner, let it fly. Through the rain, through the fire, this is my club, my only desire.
Yes, guys, and welcome back to THFC 2 with your home of Tottenham past, present, and the exciting future, of course, under Thomas Frank. After the transfer window is shut, me and Dave can go into hibernation on transfer stories for the next 6 months, and we're both glad of it. But joining me on this magical tour around the Irish Spurs community, is the man, the myth, the legend, who looks like he's one of the Beatles. I don't know which one, but we will decide by the end of this podcast. It's the one and only Dave Harris. Dave, how are you?
Yeah, good afternoon, Dermot. I'm keeping well, lad. Cannot complain.
Yeah.
I'm absolutely delighted that the transfer window is shut. You know me, I absolutely hate this period. I just prefer talking about the football, and
Yeah, same
you
here.
know, now we can kick on with what we've got. So let's go.
Yeah, you look like one of the 6 Beatles. Do you know?
I do look good lately. I'll give myself that.
Yeah, you do. Yeah, you look a bit like Paul McCartney or John Lennon. Do you know that sort of? I reckon you're more John Lennon because there's a bit of a rebel in you. So I reckon that's who you are a little bit. But Dave, yes, the transfer window has closed. Thank fuck. Excuse for language. I think I'm glad it's shut for other reasons. You're glad it's shut just for that. But has football, Dave, has the start of the season sort of gone under the radar of the way of because of the transfer window? Because we've had a pretty good start to the season, to be fair.
Yeah, look, we've had a very good start to the season. I mean, look, pre-season was a bit alarming with how short we were in attack. Then you go into the PSG game. I mean, I think it gave everyone a bit of hope and belief. You know, we performed admirably well that night. And I'll be honest, what we didn't do earlier in the market probably cost us that trophy. And also not having a bit of strength in depth cost us that trophy. You know, players off the bench couldn't maintain a 2-0 lead, which is absolutely shocking. Then you go into the start of the Premier League. I mean, we absolutely blitzed Burnley. We played well that day. No complaints there. You know, a very good team performance against Man City. And I think it got everyone sort of maybe thinking, oh, hang on. Maybe we could be a lot better than what we think this season. Yeah. And then the Bournemouth game brought us right back down to reality, you know, just showing us that Richarlison, Johnson, players like that, they are capable of having days like that. And when they do, we look so blunt. So I think for me, you know, it's been a very good start to the season, but I do think that Bournemouth game has sort of took the gloss off a little bit. And I think it's brought everyone back down to reality and reminded everybody how crap we can be on our day. But look, hopefully the new signings will improve that, Dermo.
Yeah, it will, and we'll get on to new signings in a minute. Look, my thought on the Bournemouth game was Bournemouth are a good side, Dave. You can't take that away from them. They nullified us in our attack. They nullified us in the midfield, and we looked a bit lost. I just think, look, it's one of those games. You're going to have them games this season. You're going to have good games and bad games, and I think with Frank's first season, I think we've got to accept that. What I won't accept is what I've been hearing saying it was Thomas Frank's fault. He got he didn't know his tactics were found out. And I'm saying, isn't this the same argument we had with Ange last year or the year before?
Ange, Jose, Conte, Nuno.
Yeah. And look, you know, you're hearing this crap and you think, really? Seriously? You're praising him for the way he played against Man City and PSG. And now you're giving out to him because we've lost to Bournemouth. Bournemouth are a very good side. Bournemouth played well. So, look, if you could give a mark out of 10 for Thomas Frank's first 3 games.
Just on the Bournemouth game, though, Darmo. Yeah. Look, I find it hard to blame Thomas Frank, to be to be honest with you, lad. I mean,
blame the players.
Thomas Frank's fault. Everyone's sitting there going, oh, he should have went with a back 5. And it's sort of like, you don't change a winning team after the performance that they put in against Man City. And at the end of the day, they were a team that are after winning 2 games back-to-back. They should have went into that game with confidence. Don't get me wrong. Bournemouth are a decent side. But we didn't show up, though, Darmo. No, don't get me wrong. They pressed us well. They went man for man in midfield. And they just said to us, right, punt it long and let's see what you've got. And when Richarlison has a day like he has, Brennan Johnson has a day like he has, Frank done the right thing. He made substitutions, which is not his fault. He has the likes of Odegaard to bring in to try and change a game. These guys have proven under Ange Postecoglou they weren't good enough to come in and change games. So why all of a sudden do people think they're good enough under Thomas Frank? They're not. And this was the problem. That's why we had to go after a lot of experience this summer transfer window, because players like that weren't good enough to come in and make an impact. I agree with you. You are going to have games, and sometimes you do have games where for whatever reason, you're just a bit lethargic. You find it slow to get going, and things don't happen for you on the football pitch. But that's then where a manager turns to the bench and goes, "Okay, let's get some fresh injection there. If they can, come on and make a difference." Failed to, and you can't blame Frank for these guys giving the same answers that they gave under Ange Postecoglou. I'm sick of it. Look, I had my doubts about Thomas Frank coming in, and he's changed my mind. I'm completely behind the guy. But one thing I'm not going to do is blame him. He tried to change the game against PSG off the bench, or not change the game, but make subs to maintain what we've had. They let us down. He made subs against Burnley to try and change, or against Bournemouth to try and change the game, and they let us down. You know, that's not Thomas Frank's fault. If these guys aren't ready to come into a game, that's on them. I'd be questioning more their professionalism and their desire and hunger to actually make an impact. There's no excuse for it. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer at Man United made a living off it. And you go and listen to what he says. He says, all I've done is sat on the game, watch the bench, study where I think I'm going to get space and stuff like that. And then, get on the ball and try and make an impact. If these guys are coming in not ready, that's not Frank's fault. That's on them. That's their professionalism. That needs to be
it is. And I think the one play comes out of that game with only credit is Vicario, because I thought he had an outstanding game. And it wasn't for him, we would have lost that 3 or 4-0.
Also put us in trouble a few times, though. But
he did. But I do like Vicario. He's not perfect, but I wouldn't take any other keeper in the Premier League bar Vicario. Let's welcome a few people in. Firstly, I want to say big up to Shawnee Mannix to become a YouTube member. Shawnee, you're a legend, man. And we'll definitely get you one to our member shows. Guys, there is a Fantasy Football League show tomorrow at 4:00 to find out where you guys are. See if I'm still stuck near the bottom and see if Ryan's still at the top. Big up to Iceman as well. Big up Dermot and also Dave. Big up to Iceman. Big up to Wayne Bonner. It says, good afternoon, gentlemen. All in the chat. Hope you're all well. I take it Lookman deal didn't go through. No, it didn't. Though we did put in a deal sheet, it didn't go through. It may be something we go in January. I think that is something. Galatasaray is still an option for him, but he didn't move there either. So watch for January. That's all I'm going to say. Iceman says 1-0 flattered us. It should have been a lot more. That is true. Big up to Wayne. Bournemouth for the far better side. Team of the day. Men against boys. Yeah. Big up to Iceman. When we have 5 or 6 players not pulling their weight, can happen in the Prem. Yeah, that's so true. Big up to Joe Blogs as well. Bournemouth looked like a team that could compete in the Champions League. That's a fair comment, actually. I'm going to start that one and come back. Big up to Wayne Bonner. Don't forget, Bournemouth had to rebuild that defense as well.
That's what
Big
makes
up.
it even worse, Dermo.
Yeah, it
You know,
does.
no, it's something that I tried to highlight going into the game. It's like, let's not forget their whole backline has been decimated. Kirkesh was gone, Huyson was gone, Shabani is gone, the goalkeeper was gone. You know, that backline was absolutely decimated. The only one that was, you know, there last season was Adam Smith. There was no excuse for them 4 players not to be able to break down that backline, and it was embarrassing.
What alarmed me more was Richarlison. He fell down once, Dave, and the referee didn't give him. The referee. I will talk about that. That referee was atrocious. I don't care. The player should have been sent off. The Bournemouth player should, after grabbing, I think,
should have been gone. Yeah.
And I'm sorry, that's the same referee that refereed the Newcastle Liverpool game on Monday, and he made howlers there completely. That referee should not be allowed to referee a Premier League game again. I'm sorry. And
look, don't get me wrong. Look, the referee was atrocious, but we know the standard of refereeing in the Premier League is atrocious at this point. And I fail to make excuses for the players unless it's like a last-minute penalty that shouldn't have been given or whatever. It's because at the end of the day, you know, we've all been there on the football pitch when decisions ain't going your own way, but that's when you rally together as a team. You call in your teammates, say, look, this guy ain't going to, you know, give us anything. It's up to us to go and get what we deserve today, you know, by hook or crook. And we failed to do that. That's another thing that pissed me off against Bournemouth. I didn't see anybody sort of, you know, when you see a flat, lethargic performance like that, a good captain, and this is where I get annoyed with Romero a little bit, is they recognize that and they just start becoming vocal on the football pitch to wake people up. You know, you start sort of rollicking a couple of players here, players that you know that can take it. There was absolutely none of that. It's what we've seen in years gone by when things aren't going our way. There's no one stepping up on the football pitch to try and change things. They're just sort of okay with it the way it's gone, and that's what annoys me. You know, sometimes when you see a performance like that as a captain, you've got to wake people up and try and get a reaction, at least try, and I just didn't see that from him either.
No, it's a bit like Roy Keane would do that back in the day at United, or old school captains would do that, and I agree with you. Big up to Tequila. Are we freak out yet? Too early. I'll ask in November. And Tequila, you're in for the wind up. I know you are. Big up to you, Tequila. Big up to Wayne. Unlike last season, I could see Frank learning from the defeat, working on what he needs to be done. Our squad depth will hinder him, but he will do a damn good job. He will. Big up to everyone that is in the shout as well. Tequila says, shout out to Dermo and James, who did a crazy long stream yesterday. Hope you lads put in your super chats to thank them. Big up, Tequila. Look, we enjoyed it. Me and James enjoyed doing deadline day. It's a bit of fun. It takes us away from the normal wear and tear of covering matches, but I enjoyed it yesterday. Dave, on deadline day, I want to talk a little bit about take our minds off Tottenham and let's talk about football in general, which the game we love. 3 players come out of that window: Isaac, Gui, and Wezza. Now, Gui didn't get his move to Palace to Liverpool. That collapsed last night because of whatever reason. Isaac got his move from Newcastle to Liverpool, and Wizard finally got his move from Brentford to Newcastle. Now, you and me have been watching the game long enough, Dave, and you and me come from different eras of the game, but we both have the same thing, that the clubs have the open hand when it comes to players. Do you see players have more power? You look at Isaac and you look at Wizard, the way they behaved, and you look at Gui, how he behaved. Who comes out of this window better? Isaac or Wizard or Guri from Palace?
I mean, financially, you know, you would say and Isaac, but you know, I think Mark Gray will come out with an awful lot of respect, you know, and I think there's a way of going about it. You look at it, you know, he understands that Crystal Palace have gone a long way in. They gave him the opportunity to become the player that he's become, and stuff like that. And look, I have no doubt he will get his move in the future. I have no doubt he'll return to Crystal Palace and put absolutely everything in. Like, you look at that game at the weekend, he could have put in a half-hearted performance, trying to save himself for the move, you know, not risk the injury. He didn't do that. He put in an unbelievable performance, and I think, you know, look, Guay's a player I've liked for a long, long time. Listening to him when he was being interviewed after England games, so I was like, this guy is really like this guy. He's humble, you know what I mean? And someone with an attitude like him, the way he speaks and everything else, you know, he will go far in the game. And, you know, I like the way he's gone about it. He's not in the game to sort of make enemies. He realized that Crystal Palace has treated him fair, and he's going to sort of do the same thing. So fair play to him. When it comes to the other two, look, ideally, you don't want your players to do that. But everyone listens to ex-professionals come out and some of the stories they hear of the way clubs treat the players. Like you look at Jackson, Bayern Munich, flew over. Next thing, Chelsea want him back and stuff like that. I mean, so it sort of works both ways. You know, these clubs do treat players like shit, and I think these players have sort of recognized it now. And you know, there's so much backstabbing in football, and there's so much money in football. You know, the players are sort of looking at all them billionaires and everything else, and they're like, "Well, hang on, you're making money off the back of us. Not happening anymore." You know what I mean? I think you're starting to see players stand up for themselves. Look, if it keeps going this direction, at some point there's going to have to be an intermediary that's going to, you know, clubs and players. Something's going to have to be done because you can't keep having it like this. Because right now it's like the wild, wild west. At the end of the day, these players had contracts when they were bought and they were signed. They had no problem signing the length of the contracts and stuff like that. Now I get maybe we said, you know, it was a bit different. He said he had assurances and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, you know, Wiesa wouldn't have the career he had if it wasn't for Brentford that picked him up. You know what I mean? And gave him that opportunity and stuff like that. So I just think, you know, what you're seeing now is the loyalty's gone in football. Players don't really have passion or care for a club. And the club don't really have that, you know, stand by their players anymore. It's sort of just like a marriage of convenience, isn't it?
You look at Harry Kane when he wanted to move to Bayern Munich and the Man City debacle, and he sort of went on strike. And there was a lot of debate around that time. That was sort of the first player to do it, really, wasn't it? In Premier League, that probably players did it enough, but you never heard about it. And Harry Kane was sort of the first one to do it. For me, if you look at Isaac, I think he treated Newcastle horribly. He was bought in for Real Sociedad, and I think he's just a money grabbing player. I've got so much respect for the Crystal Palace captain. I really do. I think he'd done everything right. He'd done everything correctly. He treated Crystal Palace correctly. And that game on Sunday, Dave, against Villa. And Villa have had a really bad start to the season, by the way, and everyone seems forgetting that. You know, haven't even scored a goal, 3 defeats in a row. You know, and we're in 4th place. So I don't think we've had, if somebody said to me, after 3 games, Dermo, you'd be in 4th place for 6 points, but you beat Burnley and Man City, but you lose to Bournemouth. Do you know what? I would have taken that. I would have said, fine, 3 games in, I'll take that. I just think players now football now has to knuckle down. If you sign a contract, you are tied to that contract to the end of that contract. If there's a release clause in that contract, then if a club meets that release clause, then the club gives permission for a player to go and talk to that other club. But all this bullshit with agents and trying to maneuver moves and trying to whisper in the player's ear, do this, do that, that will get the move. This has to stop because it's not doing the game any good and it's not doing the players any good. Isaac should have concentrated on his job, done his pre-season, and let the move. If the move was going to happen, it would have happened. But what happens if it didn't happen? He would have been stuck at a club that he didn't want to be at. The fans didn't want him to be there. So it doesn't do any players any favor along the road, you know, all this bullshit. And I think agents have a hell of a lot to answer for. The more agents in the game, Dave, it's making the game worse. And it's
everyone though, Dermo. It's not just the agents. It's, you know, it's all your big media, you know, channels like your Sky Sports. Everybody wants a slice of the pie now. They realize how much money can be made out of football. So what you've got now is you've got all the media conglomerates, you've got all the owners, you've got all the players, all the agents. Then you've even got people like Romano and everything else. They're all making an absolute killing, you know, off of football now. They realized how much money is in it. And they're all using things like you see the transfer window. It's got way out of hand. You know, 99% of rumors were absolutely fake. And you've got agents putting out things left, right, and center. And all it is to try and get their client the best move that they can get them so that they can get paid and the best money that they can get paid. What you're seeing now is agents just saying to a player, oh, yeah, make that move. Look at the money you're going to get. Look at the money we're going to secretly look at the money we're going to get paid. They don't even have the player's best interest anymore. You know what I mean? So for me, look, when it comes to football, I'm pretty sure we'll hear a few scandals coming out in 15, 20 years' time because, you know, where there's big money, there's corruption.
Of course there is. He did in the end, Tequila, he did. I can't believe Bayern Munich got their pants pulled down with this one. I think it was a 15.5 loan fee plus 65 million at the end of the season. So for a player that can't kick a bull up the arse, by I don't, just it beggars my belief. But talking about transfer windows, Dave, talking about players coming in. Tequila says Dave has lost weight, looking dapper, sir.
Yeah, I appreciate it, man. Yeah, I've been trying I've been trying now for the last while, eating healthy and going to the gym and stuff like that. So yeah, I'm glad it's paying off, I suppose, Tequila. Appreciate it.
And big up the Star Man as well. The other man wants me to get out my Bowie LPs and start singing Life on Mars again. But Dave, talking about transfer windows, we did a bit of business. This was Tottenham Hotspur summer business. We bought Koto Tiaki for 5.8 million, Mohamed Kudus for 63.8 million, Palunia loaned to buy 30 million. I think that will go down to 15 million by next summer. I really do. So that might not be the full price. We've got Xavi Simmons in for 65 million. Randall Colo Maroon. I can't pronounce the last fucking name. But anyway, I can't. I just have to go with nicknames. Randall Colo alone. So a total spend, Dave, of 204.2 million euro. Any players in there, Dave, that you're happy with? I mean, I'm over the moon with Palunia. I think we've needed the 6, and I think that's a great buy. Are you excited by that? We've bought players ready for the first team that go into that first team. There's no prospects there apart from, I think, the top one, but all rest of them are first team ready players. And we spent big as well. Are you happy with the window, or do you think the window has more, did have more to improve, or where on you at it? Because I think if you look back at the window, I give it a good 7 out of 10. I know a lot of fans think differently, but for me, I give it 7 out of 10. It's a good window, but we could have done more.
Yeah, look, first of all, I mean, coming into the summer, I think my two things were sign players that are first team ready and really address that forward line. You know, everyone went after the fence last year. I said, no, for me, that forward line is absolutely atrocious. It needs to be overhauled. So there were the two remits I had coming into this summer transfer window. And to be honest with you, the club have ticked them boxes. I can't really complain. You know, Mohamed Kudus, I think is a fantastic signing. That maverick sort of player that can produce something out of nothing, badly needed. João Paulini has brought a bit of presence and steel to that midfield. You know, last year our midfield was being ran through. There was no one in there really pulling down attacks, breaking up play. Paulini has bought that. That's why we look so much better in the midfield, because we've now got a physical presence in there. Look, Xavi Simmons, let's wait and see what he can do. You know, he's played at some of the best clubs in Europe, some of the highest, best leagues in Europe. He's done really well, but the Premier League's a different animal. Let's see how he acclimatizes to it. And Kolo Muani, look, Dominic Solanke is set to be injured for a stint. We sort of had to pivot on deadline day and try and go and get a striker. For me, there was probably 2 available, Kolo Muani and Vlahovic, that were gettable for Tottenham Hotspur. We got Kolo Muani in. You know, Kolo Muani is a player that we were interested in last January. Let's not forget we were talking to him before him into East Hell, but he turned us down in favour of Juve. So fair play to the board for, seizing an opportunity that arose on deadline day. And, getting a guy that's been a long-term target, have been after this guy since he was at Frankfurt. So in terms of the incomings, I think, credit to the board. And I think if someone would have put this transfer window to me at the start and said, Dave, coming out of the summer, these are the signings you're going to make, I would have told you to go for a lie down. You're feeling a bit dizzy and you're not thinking right.
Yeah.
This isn't a Tottenham transfer window. And when you look at it, probably one of our best in a long, long time. However, I'm not going to jump on the bandwagon that things are changing at Tottenham Hotspur. Under Ange Postecoglou, the first summer transfer window, Maddison, Van de Ven, Vicario, players like that, we had a similar window. But we didn't back it up in the January, the summer, or the January after, and it came back to bite the manager. So I'll wait and see what this club do in January next summer to see if they're actually going to follow up or not. But it is a step in the right direction, and I would say that is the benchmark that fans now expect coming into this club from this day forward. But when you look at it, we spent a long time in the window pissing about. Logistically, it's been an absolute nightmare. We had high-profile embarrassments in the pursuit of Morgan Gibbs-White and Eberiche Eze. So they've been a bit of a disaster. We left it so late in the market. If we could have acquired some of these signings earlier on, we probably would have beaten Bournemouth and we probably would have beaten PSG. That's the price of leaving it so late in the market. 3 drop points that could be crucial, and a trophy that Spurs fans have been desperate for. So I think the timing of them hasn't really been ideal either.
No.
And look, to be fair, they have spent money, even though they haven't really recouped an awful lot either. So to be fair to them, they do deserve a little bit of credit. But I'm just experienced enough to know, Dermo, that it's what you don't do that comes back to bite you in the summer.
It does. I do feel, Dave, sorry, I didn't mean to cut across you, but I do feel there's a lot of holes in the squad, especially in the defense. Yeah, there's still a lot of holes in the squad. Our fullbacks, there's massive holes. I was watching me on Tottenham TV last night, and I think it was Sim saying that you can, if we lose Jed Spence, we lose the only player that can play left and right.
Yeah.
We've got Ben Davies to play in the left back. I mean, Ben Davies should not even be here, to be fair. And again, is it a failure, right? I just want to ask you this, right? Is it a failure of Daniel Levy? Is it a failure of Johan Lang? Or is it a failure of the recruitment? Or is it all of the above? Because yesterday felt like a Paratici type transfer window. It felt that he was in charge yesterday. It felt like he was running the show. I mean, Johan Lang, do you blame him? Do you blame Levy? Where do you put the blame? Or is it all of the above?
Look, the reason why we've been left short, Dermo, and I think that's where Spurs fans got annoyed. Maybe they could have pushed the ball out and got that elusive left winger, replaced the goals and assists of Sonny. We've been left short at centre back. We've been left short at full back. Probably, ideally, another centre midfielder in the door as well. But maybe when you come into the transfer window and you add that on top of what we've done, maybe that's just unrealistic to get done in one window. And this is where Johan Lang comes into play. What we didn't do the January 2 seasons ago when we needed help, what we didn't do last summer and what we didn't do last January have left us almost too much to do this window. And that's where your problem is. You've left yourself too many holes to fill. My only hope coming out of this window is, yes, I think short term, it might end up costing us this season at some point. But I'm hoping I can look back on this window in 2 years' time and go, that was the start of it.
Yeah, it was. And the kid makes a good point. He says we're short on fullbacks, but they were telling me Davis and Gray can play there. I mean, to what level? I agree with that. I think that is the problem.
You could play fullback. I mean, me and you could step in and play a fullback, but it's not good if we're going to be rinsed, and run past and let the ball come into the box every 2 minutes, is it?
No. I saw a game in pre-season. Was it against PSG or was it against Bayern Munich? I think it was against Bayern Munich, where Ben Davies was rinsed every time they went down his left side. Absolutely. It's an all-round failure for me. I think Johan Lang has to take responsibility. I think Daniel Levy has to take responsibility. I think the recruitment team needs to take responsibility. I've always said it, Dave. Look at a Paratici window to a Johan Lang window. Paratici is a far better football man than Lang will ever be. He didn't do anything. He didn't do anything up at Villa, and he's definitely not doing anything here at Tottenham. Look, if you look at the players we have bought in, and I did include, by the way, guys, the Danso and Tell into that 204.2 million. So that's why that figure, it is 134. Tequila is right just for them signings, but I added in Tell and Danso. If you look at them players, right, Dave, Simmons is going to be an absolute star. He's going to excite us when he gets on the ball. You look at Paulinho against Man City, though he didn't play well against Bournemouth. That man is a machine in the number 6. Kudos as well, I thought, who was poor on Saturday. He might get a bit of a kick when he sees who's joining us. But are we asking Simmons to do too much? This is what Sim said last night. And I thought in my head, I must ask Dave this question, actually. Are we asking these players to do more than what they're supposed to do? Are we asking these players to go above their brief? If we lose a Kudos, we're going to be, who are we going to put on the right side?
That's not asking them to go above their brief. I mean, at the end of the day, these are signings that I expect to hit the ground running at Tottenham Hotspur. Last year it was hard to expect Archie Gray, Bergvall, Udeberg to hit the ground running. Kudos, I expect to hit the ground running. Paulinho, I expect to hit the ground running. Same with Xavi Simmons, Mawani. These guys, bar Kudos, they all have, Kudos does actually play with Ajax. They all have Champions League experience. They've all played in the top leagues across Europe. They're all full internationals with plenty of international caps under their belt. I expect these signings to hit the ground running.
Yeah, I do too. Big up to Astro. He says, what the hell was that? We signed 3 opportunists. I don't think there were 3 opportunist signings, but there you go. Did Frank get his 2 number 10s and the left centre back hybrid and the left wing? No, we didn't. We did fail him in that. What the hell? What the F was the club plans in the window? Total show window. Dave, look, you're going to get fans that are going to say that it was the window was crap. You're going to get other fans say it was an okay window. You're going to get other fans say it was a good window, but could have done more. I'm more in the camp. We could have done a lot more. We did get our pants pulled down with Morgan Gibbs-White when we sat and did nothing for 2 weeks. Eze as well. We were the only show in town. We were there. All we had to do for him was just sign the paperwork. That was it. But he wanted, and I was told repeatedly, if Arsenal come back in, he's going to Arsenal. And that's what proved what happened. Arsenal came back in. If Daniel Levy had done it 2 days before the start of the window, where it was all done, all he had to do was say, "There's the money." Eze be in the white shirt. He would be Arsenal.
What annoys me about that whole thing, Darmo, is the fallout since we've pivoted and gone and shined Xavi Simons.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden we're acting like we've gone and bought some world beater. We haven't. We bought a player with immense talent that has the opportunity now to be able to kick that talent on, and he's only 22 years of age, give him another 2 years. You're hoping developing that talent, he will become a superstar. But Eze was ready-made to come in. And all of a sudden, everyone goes, well, Xavi Simons was the first choice. Well, no one was saying that, the week before or all summer long when, everyone was sort of pouting around, let's get Eze. It's only because he's gone to Arsenal we've been a bit bitter about it. But I do think missing out on Gibbs-White and missing out on Eze might come back to bite us. I think they were ready-made to come in and make an impact with Xavi Simons. It's sort of, I'm a bit touch and go on it.
Look, with Eze, with the good Morgan Gibbs-White, nobody could have known what was going to happen with the Forest chairman. Nobody knew that what he was going to do. But Tottenham did do something wrong, and Tottenham did do a legal approach, and Forest are in their right to keep their player. He was in his right to do what he did. Like it or lump it, even though there was a look on that interview, Dave, that there was a look from Gibbs-White that he'd been stood there and told to do what he was told. I think it's very rare you get chairmen doing that now. But when it comes to Eze, all we had to do was pay the fee. That's all we had to do. We had nothing else to do. He agreed personal terms. He agreed. Thomas Frank had spoken to him. He liked what Frank was doing. He was coming. And we blew it because we waited so long. We let Palace school us. Oh, we want him to play in the Charity Shield. Yeah, that's fine, no problem. Oh, we want him to play in that first Premier League game. Yeah, not a problem. You can do that. All the while, Arsenal was sitting in the grass and they're communicating with Arsenal saying, right, if you come in on this date at this amount of money, you can have him. And I'm sure Eze's agent was telling them the same thing. Don't worry, Arsenal will come back in for you. Just string them along. And so the Daniel Levy going, pay the activation fee. There you go. There's 68 million. Is our player. And it would have been all over with. He would have been our player.
But you would like to think we learned our lesson, and that's why we end up getting Xavi Simons in the door, that we were willing to sort of bulk up a fee. Because at the end of the day, everyone goes, oh, Xavi Simons picked Tottenham. He flew into London to try and force Chelsea. He had terms agreed with them all summer long. Yeah. He flew into London to try and put the pressure on Chelsea to sort of go and make that bid that he thought was coming. It didn't happen, and we seized on the opportunity and got him in. And fair play to the club. They learned a lesson from the Eze one, and they got the deal wrapped up quickly. But why wouldn't you do that for someone like Eze, who's been doing it in the Premier League for the last 4 to 5 years, if not a little bit longer? Why would the urgency not be there? You're absolutely right. We were sitting there going, well, we'll let him play this game and that game, but if we do, we want to knock this off the fee, and we're going to take this off the fee. And all of a sudden, Palace are sitting there going, fuck me. And then Havertz got an injury, and they couldn't believe that. Arsenal come in, goes, Tottenham, there you are, there's the money. And then the fallout from it. It's not entirely Tottenham's fault. It's not entirely Daniel Levy's fault. They got strung along. Bollocks. If Arsenal can come in with a Havertz injury and get the deal wrapped up in a matter of 3 to 4 hours, there's no reason why Tottenham couldn't. We were led to believe before the weekend game even kicked off that we had agreed personal terms with Eze. Yeah. We were just trying to structure the fee. And that's why we lost out. Anyone that's been money for a long, long time, you look at the history. How many players have we lost out because we're sitting there trying to negotiate things down and trying to get money off here, there, and everywhere? You know what I mean? It's absolute. I wouldn't surprise me if Daniel Levy's sitting there charging them the petrol money to drive Eze from fucking Palace to Tottenham.
Yeah, I mean, we broke it there about 2 months ago. It was, and the deal was done. All they had to do was pay the fucking money, and I stand by that, and I always will stand by.
That's
what
why you
they
never
break
say
it.
it's 95% done when Daniel Levy is negotiating a fee.
Well, it was 95%. You always leave 5% spare, and I'll stand
Yeah,
by
I
that
know.
story,
When
and I'll
Daniel
stand
Levy's
over it.
negotiating the fee, it's more like
Yeah.
25% done.
You know what,
75%
Dave?
done.
As I always say, I stand by and stand over anything I break, and I always have done, always will. Look, we know talks are stalled as well for the takeover. That was we broke that probably about a week ago. That talks have stalled on that. We know Vivian Lewis was seen at the first game of the season against Burnley. We know the protests, not great numbers at the protests, but they're happening again. I'm sure there'll be another one this week. I don't know if there is or not. I'm still waiting for change to Tottenham. Huh?
There won't be any protests. We're on international break. That next game is
Oh, well, when they come back. I am still waiting for change for Tottenham to come back to me. I have invited them about 5 times, and every time they say, yeah, we're coming on, and then they didn't. So I'm appealing to change for Tottenham. If you're watching, will you get back to me? Let me know when you're coming on. We ask the difficult questions, and we will ask me and Tequila, as we call them, Simon Jordan on this channel. He will ask the difficult questions. But if you look at all that, the noise going on, Dave, and you look at what's happening within the boardroom, there is something happening within the boardroom. There is a bit of a row. Charrington's come back in for the Lewis side with Vinny. Do you feel that Levy's time might be coming to an end? That maybe there will this season there will be some restructuring that if Vivian Lewis came in and said, right guys, I'm gonna pump billions into Tottenham and I'm gonna take this club forward, I'm doing it my way. How would you feel on that? Would you be happy with that? I know Rayman's probably chucking everything at the telly at the moment and probably chucking mugs and everything at my head. But how would you feel if Vivian Lewis came in and said, right, Dave, I'm gonna chuck billions at this club. I want to make this club successful again. Would you be happy with that?
It's not going to happen. They haven't done it yet, and they've owned the club for 20 odd years.
Yeah,
so
but Joe Lewis has run the club. So if Vivian's taken over from her father, and she's a proper Spurs fan, she wants Tottenham to succeed, and she's going to come in and say, right, sorry, Joe, sorry, Daniel, you're gone. I'm taking over, and I'm going to pump millions in. I want to make this club the win again. Do you have to be proven? Yeah,
but it's not as easy as I'm coming in and I'm getting rid of Daniel Levy. Daniel Levy has his own family have shares in Tottenham. His family have shares in Tavistock. His family have shares in Enoch. He was the one that got them into football in the first place back in the 90s when they bought Rangers and Slavia Prague. That's so they're not just going to kick him out at the end of the day. They're never going to do it. Look, when it comes to takeover, I'll be honest, I've been hearing about a takeover since 2021. When they went to meet this Singapore billionaire and this person, Sheikh Jazim, this person, that person. It's always been touted. It's always been rumored for the last 4 years, but anything has happened. We even brought in Todd Klein to sell the naming rights. We decided not to do it. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, I'll believe it when I see it. But now, it's been out around for the last 4 years, and absolutely nothing has happened.
Yeah,
it's all just been rumors, and nothing has happened about it. I have no doubt that there would be billionaire conglomerates and consortiums that would be interested in pooling together and trying to buy Tottenham Hotspur. At the end of the day, it's a cash cow. What other club has abseiling, has an F1 track? What else have we got there? We've got a hotel coming.
I don't talk about that to me. Don't talk about the hotel to me. I am pissed off over that.
We've got absolutely more things, that build off that stadium than anybody else, let alone bringing in boxing, concerts, rugby league, NFL. We've got more cash revenue than anybody else. But my concern is if you get new owners in, how many of them are going to do the exact same? They buy Tottenham Hotspur, they go, well, look at all this revenue. We'll use that revenue so Tottenham can run itself. But we're interested in all the stuff that Tottenham still have to build, all the property around. Property and bricks and mortar in London is at a sky-high price. Yeah. You're getting these dingy apartments going for 300,000, 400,000. Property in London is at a premium. That's what I think a lot of these potential owners would be after, is getting their hands on prime real estate in London. It's look, you look at an area like Croydon, right? That's going through a complete regeneration building. There's many of them that have that they're undertaking, and they're going through London in stages. Eventually, that's going to reach Tottenham, and You know, that's where these owners want to be. You know, so for me, I'm a bit weary about it, unless their main aim is just to come in and make this club as successful as it can be. So I'm one of them. I'll sit back and I'll see their intentions, because, you know, sometimes the grass isn't always greener on the other side, you know.
No,
so
it's not.
For me, I'm going to sit there and wait and see what their intentions are, because I'm not going to be lie. As much as Daniel Levy frustrates me in what he doesn't do, it's also nice being able to be a supporter and not worry about the club going bankrupt, not worry about the club going bust, not worrying about PRSI and stuff like that, where it's hammered other teams. I could only imagine being a fan and you've got them sort of worries, because if you do, you always have someone like Bury FC in the back of your mind. So for me, there's a comfort in that to a certain degree. So I'm going to wait and see what people's plans are for the club first.
As a fan that's been there, and I know probably Rain Man was there for, look, I want to say this now, right? We've got this message of you was at the protest. How many people turned up, by the way? I would like to know.
Wasn't a lot. No, I believe there wasn't even any representatives from Change for Tottenham there. Or I think there was one, maybe I heard.
Well, that's not good, to be fair. Look, for me, I want Daniel Levy out the club. I agree with Simon Jordan, where I think his opinion is Tottenham needs a new captain to steer Tottenham into a new era, a new level. And I agree with that. I think he's taken us as far as he can take us. Look, I've said it before and I said it again. I was around when we nearly went bust. So was a lot of other fans. I remember what I was like as a 13-year-old Tottenham fan. Have I got a club to support? And I understand people might think, oh, Dermy, you're talking shite and you're talking crap. I get that. But that's how I see things. I see things differently. I'm not a financial wizard. I left school at 14, went to work in the building sites with my father, no education, can hardly read or write. All right. So I'm not one here. Like there's other people a lot more educated than me, a lot more got degrees, whatever, in the other fields. But what I do have is my love and my passion for this football club. And what I do have is what I want the best for my football club. I've been there. I don't like being there back in the early 90s, late 80s, early 90s, having to sell our best players to pay for things. We had to sell Chris Waddle. We had to sell Glenn Hoddle to pay interest. We had to pay Chris Waddle to pay for the Gary Lineker transfer. We had to at the time he went to Richard no, it's not Richard. Something Murdoch.
Rupert Murdoch.
Rupert Murdoch asked for a loan for him, a £2 million loan or £1 million loan to help pay the interest. So because we owe Midland Bank I think it was £8 million at the time, which was a hell of a lot of money back in them days. Do you know, we were 20 million in the debt. We're about to go bust. And Alan Sugar swooped in with Terry Venables. Like it or not, Alan Sugar saved his football club. He saved us. He put us on the footing. He laid the foundations for Enoch to build on for when they took over. And like it or not, Enoch run the football club in a very different way to other people run their football club. But we could be Manchester United right now. Look at Ineos. Look at the Glazers. We could be in the hell. Look at their stadium. Yes, we've got a fantastic stadium. Yes, we've got the best facilities in the world. I've always said it. Give me White Hart Lane and the championship winning side any day of the week. I didn't ask for this new stadium, but that was supposed to be the next step for us. And I say it again, Daniel Levy is taking us as far as he can take us. It's time for a new chapter. It's time for a new captain to take us to the next level. We all hate Daniel Levy for what he does off the field. But Dave, you are right when he said he's made us financially secure. We don't have to worry about PSR or FFP. And I know it frustrates fans. And I know football fans are very one way in thinking. We want the best players at our football club. And that's what all that matters to us. I want my club to win. I've seen this being successful. I've seen this win FA Cups and League Cups, and I've seen this win 2 UEFA Cups, where you've seen one, Dave. Your dad's seen a lot more. Philip Brady, who's seen a hell of a lot more than us two put together. We get people in our chat. Wilton come in. He's seen David Clark, who were live when the double winning side was around. Do you know? So we have a rich history of being successful, being Tottenham, being the forefronters, being the trailblazers of the football world. And I just think, yes, owners may frustrate us. Daniel Levy may frustrate us. Yes, there is protests. Does he listen to the protests? Probably not. but we've got to keep the pressure on. We've got to keep the pressure up on him. And people that can get to the protest should go and get there. Support the people for change for Tottenham. Because if we don't get change, then what's this going to be like in 5 or 6 years' time? Are we still going to be having an okay window? And I feel that I think Change for Tottenham have to do the protests at the right time. Pick the right moments. And I don't know if you agree with me in this, Dave.
No, I do disagree with that. Look, that's something that I've been heard banded about, but I almost think when you just try and pick the right moments, which essentially you're trying to capitalize on the bad times or things going bad, it looks wrong. It looks wrong. And
it does.
To be honest with you, it turns a lot of people around. For me, I'm a firm believer of your cause. If you believe in your cause, you got to do it when the good times are happening and be there ready for when the bad times are happening and people want a shoulder to cry on or an outlet to frustrate their anger, because if you pick and choose your moments, that's where you open yourself up to a lot of criticism and, you're just an opportunity to share this. You can see some of the flack that people around the community have taken in years gone by and stuff like that for picking and choosing their moments. So I think the only other way around it is to do continuous, whether things are going good or bad.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. Rayman says, I don't think Levy has made Tottenham financial secure. Look, Rayman, I'd love to get you on the channel to debate you, to talk about this with you. Probably we're two different. We probably won't agree with each other with everything we have to say, but I do respect you. But listen, the invitation's there for you, sir, to come on one show one evening. I will get Tequila or I'll get Tequila to referee the debate. But I'd love you to come. Yeah. Yeah, we do actually like each other, actually, to be fair. I do respect him,
but you spend more time arguing about how to argue than actually debating your points.
We do, actually, which is quite funny. But Ryan, I will get Tequila the referee. But look, I'm welcoming you to come on. So there's the invitation. So I hope, take it if you like. Big up the Ryan Bonnet. Levy can move to the business side things and let someone else take care of the football side. I totally agree. Big up the Shan Tom as well. Afternoon to Irish lads. Hope you're doing well, Dave and Dermot, or the new D&D. That's true. There's a new name for us there, D&D. Big up to the Harmless Potato, who's been a member for 4 months. Big up to the Harmless Potato. I hope you're doing well. Look at that, Dave. A nice little European trophy beside the Harmless Potato. Absolutely. And also big up to Archer as well. Levy alleged that he's a Spurs fan. There's a future show for us, Dave. Is Levy a Spurs fan? But guys, we are.
He's a Spurs fan, but unfortunately, he loves his money more, and that will always rule his head over his heart.
It will. Look, guys, we are going to leave it there. I did promise David did this 45, 50 minutes because I know he's busy today. He's got a lot of things today. Dave, what you got coming up on the second best channel in Ireland? No, you are the best channel in Ireland. I'm in your wake. I'm coming for your crown. But look, you give me the platform to do what I do, to be fair. You're the mothership of this channel. So I'll always be grateful for you and Jack. But what you got coming up? And I'm looking forward to getting one of your debate shows, by the way, sir.
Yeah, no, I'm just getting back into the swing of things. I've had a very sort of hectic summer with my dad being in hospital with his heart and stuff like that. So
we're all over the moon that he's better now, Dave, and he's at home. And how is he doing now? Is he getting back to normal now?
Look, don't get me wrong. He's still got a long road ahead of himself. Still got a lot of outpatient appointments and all. You know yourself. You've been through outpatient appointments and all sort of, attending stuff like that. But it'll get there. But it was, the end of the day, I had to put my family first. So I do apologize about the lack of streaming, to people over the course of the summer. But I am back now. I am getting into things now. We've got a debate show this evening, our usual Tuesday night sort of debate show. Then tomorrow, I think we'll do the fan show. We have Billy T and someone else again on Thursday. And then I'm going to sit back and enjoy some of the international football. The World Cup qualifiers are back. So I'll probably say I don't know whether to watch them on my own, because we know how frustrating Ireland can be, or do a watch along. But that's what I've got coming up, this week. And look, Dermot, we'll have to get you back involved because you did tell me that you weren't available for some of the pre-match build-ups, but that's since changed. So I'll get you back involved in them now after the international break.
You need a bit of Dermotron on your channel, Dave. Your channel needs a bit of Dermotron. It needs a bit of lunacy. on that channel. You're too serious. You need a bit of lunacy. And that's what I bring, lunacy. But guys, yeah, please big up to Stevie. Edinburgh Spurs. Leave his big ego will never allow him to take a back seat. That's so true. And then Rayman says, it's a matter of intent. Levy's goal is not to make a football club successful. It is to make Enoch money. And that has come through assets growth, through growth, leverage of fans and land surrounding the area. And then Archer's talking back to us. Dave, thank you so much. This is episode number 3 of Irish LADS Talk Spurs. We will be back next Tuesday at 1 with more talk, surely about the Ireland games. If you are doing an Ireland watch along, Dave, let me know. I may join you for that, sir.
Yeah, I will actually. I'll let you know. I'm just trying to debate whether I should do a watch along or whether I just need to watch it in front of the couch. But yeah, I'll probably end up doing a watch along.
Just very quickly before we do end up, Dave. 3 good moves for the Irish lads. One went to Sheffield United yesterday. I think one left Celtic and went to, where was it? Sunderland, I think.
Was that Liam Scales?
No, the striker from Celtic, the Irish lad, the striker.
Oh, Adamida, Swansea.
Adamira. Yeah, he went to Swansea from Celtic. We know Obi-Wan, as I call him, he's gone to Sheffield United. Do you know how look, I'm quite optimistic we can get a playoff place for this World Cup qualifying group we're in, Dave. Is that where you're at? Do you think that's what we're aiming for, a playoff place?
Do you know what, Dermo? Look, we're still not the greatest of teams. Don't get me wrong. Your man Heimer Helgeson has come in and he's made us, a bit harder to beat, but a lot of it isn't pretty. Our big problem is we've got no centre midfield. Yeah. Anyone we try to play in there, they're lightweight, and we're like Tottenham last year. No presence in midfield, no physical sort of presence. And I think Helmer Helgeson has realised that, and that's why he's instructing a lot of the play to either go down the wings or go long. But then our other big problem is we've got a lot of talent in that forward line, but we're sort of waiting for that talent to develop into consistency for Ireland. I'm hoping that move for Evan Ferguson to Roma, he started off on absolute fire.
Oh, he's been fire, hasn't he?
Yeah, if we can get him firing, he can be the absolute key to picking up some points along this campaign and at least putting us in a position with maybe 2 or 3 games remaining to still fight, to try and even get a qualifying place. If Adamida can kick on, and keep doing what he's doing again, he'll turn up to the Republic of Ireland with a bit of confidence. If Troy Parrott's had another good start to the season out in Holland, so we're just waiting for them to sort of bring the club form that they're showing now into the Ireland team. Yeah. So if they can do that and that forward line can come good, I think then it gives us a chance, Darmo. So let's wait and see.
Yeah, fingers crossed. Fingers crossed. I always say it, Dave. Anyone that look with Declan Rice and Grant Grealish, I always say it. It's easy to pick England to qualify for major tournaments because they're going to do it 9 times out of 10. I think you get more satisfaction qualifying with Ireland because we don't do it every year, every tournament. So I think if you stick with Ireland and you do qualify, I think you would look back when you're old and think, do you know what? International football, that was a major achievement. And so they're going to England where no disrespect to England, I think they're going to qualify 9 times out of 10 for every major tournament.
You see England getting close now. And at the end of the day, how many kids grew up dreaming of winning a World Cup? You know what I mean? And England provide a better platform from that. When was the last time Ireland's been at a World Cup? You know
2002.
I mean? And that's another thing. These international tournaments, I really do enjoy them. But it's hard to really be invested in it when your country ain't there. So, hopefully, fingers crossed, Darmo, we can make one. I think it'd be good for the country. I think the country needs it. You look at the League of Ireland. You look at the League of Ireland since lockdown. Look at the attendances. They sell out every week for games and stuff like that. There's a real buzz behind the football again that has maybe been missing for about a good 20 years. There's a good buzz back behind it again. So now, if we can just get the national team to a major competition,
latch on to that.
I think then you're about to see maybe a new era of Irish football.
I think so. And also the 2 Irish clubs getting into the Conference League as well, which is fantastic for Irish soccer as well. But Dave, we'll leave it there. We are Irish Lads That Talk Spurs. Thank you so much indeed for joining us on podcast episode 3. We're back next week at 1 for episode 4. Who knows what me and Dave are talking about next week? Maybe tiddlywinks or sewing, but who knows? But Guys, thank you all so much. Get over to the Irish Hotspur. Do hit the like button over there for the guys, him and Jack. They do great work over there. As I said, the mothership to this channel. And also, if you can, hit a like and subscribe here. We're on the march to 2,200. So let's get there before the Premier League comes back. Guys, thank you all very much. And there's Tequila always... Oh, no problem, Dave. I enjoy having you, man. Thank you for doing this podcast with me. And as Tequila always says, and I will quote him, I'm going to do this horribly, but he normally says it. He goes, "It's just who we are, mate." See you later.
Eyes on the prize, victory in sight with all our might, with all our might, with all our might.
Thanks a lot.